Welcome to another exciting edition of Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Paperboy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And for anyone new to the channel, I work out of my basement, have about 40,000 items up on eBay and Amazon, and do things completely differently than the man next to me, Mr. Magazine.
I'm Mr. Magazine. I have a large warehouse, 500,000 items, and 15 employees.
So hopefully we give you some perspective from the small and the large seller on how various things work. We've got a lot of bidders behind us, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the graveyard of banned bidders.
Yeah, deadbeat bidders.
And that's what we're going to talk about today is banned bidders, but not exactly banned bidders. More like, should you unban bidders, and how does that work out? And this topic came up because I have a friend who had a bidder that he had banned previously because of issues and problems. And then he allowed this bidder to bid again and ended up banning him a second time. So I was talking with my buddy and asked him what was going on. And basically it came down to that this bidder got upset. He was buying comic books, and he got upset that my friend wouldn't ship him the comic books media mail, which you're not supposed to do. And my buddy said, well, look, I can't ship them to you media mail. The post office has been on top of a lot of the things I'm shipping out, and they've been sending them back to me, and I have to ship them out later and increase the amount, and then I have to back charge postage and all that.
Right, yeah.
I'm just going to do it the right way because he was on the post office radar.
Well, first class is cheap anyhow, so...
Right. Well, they were big enough lots that they had to go
big lots,
priority.
okay,
Yep,
gotcha.
they're big enough lots they had to go priority.
Right.
Well, and then when he was charging priority, and I know my friend, he really does charge more or less what it's supposed to cost for postage. He's not one of these people that charges $8 on a $3 item for shipping. He does not do that.
Right.
It might be $3.79. He charges $4. I mean, he's right on with the shipping. Does not make anything to speak of on the shipping, especially when you take into account boxes and all that kind of thing.
Right.
So then this gentleman was complaining to my friend that you're making money on the shipping. So apparently if it's $12.27, you want to be charged exactly $12.27, not $12.50, because you're making money on the shipping on me.
But don't we all advertise what the shipping's going to be?
Yeah, and we do.
The buyer should know what he's paying going into this. So factor your offer around the shipping.
Well, and then on the few things early on that my buddy was shipping out media mail to save this gentleman money, the gentleman then was complaining that it was taking too long to get there. So he wants everything there right away, doesn't want to pay the proper amount of shipping in order to get it right away, and basically just likes to complain. So I was talking to my buddy about it, and my buddy said, he's just a bitter old man. And I said, hey, I'm right here. He said, just a bitter old man, and I'd already banned him once. So that got me thinking. I know you've got some people on your banned bidder list.
I'm probably maxed out almost.
No, they've actually changed it. 5,000, I believe.
Oh,
Now.
let's go. Let's go.
I believe it's 5,000 now. Yeah, forever it had been 300 was all that you were allowed. But yeah, they've changed that. Have you had situations where you've unbanned people?
Reluctantly, yes, I have unbanned them. We have given some customers second chances, and some have kept their second chance. Others have lost them again. So it all depends. Yeah.
What I guess what would be reasons why somebody would get banned?
Well, for starters, like you just said, a lot of complaining. There's always something wrong with the items. There's a damage to one. They're always nickel and diming. They don't want to return the items, so that's the best part. They get a damaged magazine or a missing page, they don't want to return it. I'm like, well, I don't know if it's really damaged or missing a page. I want to see the item at least. One customer always had an issue. Then the shipping was an issue. It was just a headache.
Well, if without getting into specifics, that customer, the situation was with him. He lived in Canada. He had a United States mailing address as well.
Right.
But he was buying things through his Canadian address and wanted it shipped to the United States. And one of the problems with that is if he buys it using his Canadian account, the Canada address comes up.
Right.
And you cannot change the location to the United States. There are workarounds. You can go into USPS and do all that kind of thing, but it's a lot of workaround to change all of that. Another issue with him, if I remember, was he would complain all the time, and he'd want to get enough items in his order to make it worth his while in his opinion. But he would buy one item and then 3 weeks later not have purchased the second item, and then getting upset if you put an unpaid item on him.
Right.
But meanwhile, how long can you possibly keep these orders open for him?
Right. And he was a reseller too. So he would always complain like, hey, my buyer needs this item. Well, that's not my problem. He's my buyer, and I have to make him happy. I can't worry about his buyer, you know. And there's always be issues with that as well. And then I remember I had these movie slicks. He bought lots of movie slicks from me, and lots pretty reasonably cheap. But he kept nickel and diming me down, telling me they're not worth much, you know. But I had a ton of them. I was into them right, so I sold him a bunch. Then he wanted more and more and wanted to pay me $1 a piece, which I think in the lot I got $3 or $4 a piece for them. Because I knew they were worth at least $10-20. You know, he was getting a deal. So then I'm like, well, let me just look at his username. He's selling those lots for me that he paid a few bucks for them for $50 a piece, and some sold for that price. And he was telling me they're only worth $1 and wanted to buy more from me. So I think that was really a straw that broke the camel's back right there. I'm like, no,
so he had been banned and then cried the blues, and you unbanned him.
Yeah.
And again, it was one of those people that across the board there were always issues with his orders.
Right.
So can he currently purchase from you?
Not anymore, no.
Now there's another gentleman that I'm thinking of that was also a reseller. Mm-hmm. And I believe he purchased from you and then had problems. A lot of the time had problems, so you banned him, and then you and him had a come to Jesus meeting where the two of you spoke.
Right.
And I believe there haven't been any problems with him since then.
It's been good for a few years. There's been other people that like movies will buy movies, use movies, and they don't play right. The quality's not right, and then they would complain every time. So I feel like they would watch the movie, not like the movie, and return the movie. So we've banned them before too. And if they want to get unbanned, I tell them, give me the list of what you want. Tell me how much you want to pay for these items, because a lot of times these guys are cheap Charlies. So, you know, they'll nickel and dime you down. So if I'm going to unban someone, they want to offer me $4 for $15 movies, you're not getting unbanned. So, you know, I have my own set of rules to unbanning customers.
Well, there is could there be a problem? Yes, of course. We sell used items. There definitely can be a problem. Can there be a problem every time that you order, especially? There can be, and let me tell you when it can be. Mm-hmm. You buy a Jack and Jill magazine from me, and it's missing the centerfold.
Right.
That can happen.
That makes sense, sure.
You buy a Jack and Jill magazine from me 2 weeks later, and it's missing the centerfold, and I say, oh, gee, that was in the same box bought from the same collection. Mm-hmm. Yes, I may have purchased a collection of Jack and Jill magazines that I didn't check properly, and all of them are missing centerfolds. Yeah. Certainly at that point, I would then go, and I'm set up a little differently than you, but I would go and check the other things I purchased at that time, and I would say, oh, yep, geez, these are all missing centerfolds. That is what happened.
Right.
But if you purchase a Jack and Jill magazine from me today and tell me it's missing a centerfold, then you buy one in 3 weeks that I got in a different collection,
right.
And then you buy one 3 weeks afterwards that I got yet in a third collection. Yeah. The odds of every collection that I purchased Jack and Jill not having the centerfolds, it's unlikely.
Well, and he's the only buyer that's had
the problem, right? That's another good point too, because if I cannot, and neither can you, check every single magazine for completeness. Yeah. But if I picked up a lot of 50 of the same type magazine from the same place, and 45 people have purchased them and nobody has had a problem,
right,
it's unlikely that the person who buys the last 5, all 5 of those were missing things. That's unlikely.
Well, just like the gentleman with the CGCs, we've sold probably 150 CGC comics or magazines. No one's had any broken, but this gentleman's had 3 from me. And he said he's never had any broken from anyone else. So guess what? He's banned. It's that simple.
So I guess when you get right down to it, we're not generally cavalier about banning people. It isn't something we enjoy doing. We do like to have people's business, but we're busy. And there are a certain segment of the buyers out there who will never be happy with anything that anybody does. They always want a little extra. They always feel that, you're nickeling and diming them. They always feel that they paid too much on everything, et cetera, et cetera. And at some point, you have to be willing to ban them. And as to unbanning them, I think you do it well in that you do discuss with them and you say, look, here's the reason why. You bought 12 VHS tapes for me, and you returned 9 of them.
Right.
That's 75% that you were unhappy with. The odds are that 75% of the items we sell, when across the board, maybe 1% have issues.
Right.
75% of what you bought had an issue.
Yeah.
That's unlikely.
Exactly.
So does unbanning work? It can. However, once you've had some serious issues with somebody, if you do decide to unban them, let them know that they're on a short leash, because that's what it comes down to. Not that we don't make mistakes, because we do. There are times where yes, something is missing a page. Something does not play right on a VHS. And we understand that. But when, again, 1% of orders have problems in general, and 75% of orders to one person have a problem.
I go with the odds. Absolutely.
Reminds me of a commercial. Here we're going to go into a long rambling story here within one of our videos.
Ooh, a freebie.
There you go. Reminds me of the one commercial. It was for a dating service where, and I don't remember which one it was, but some lady was on and her friend was talking to her, or the interviewer was talking to her and asking her about her dating history, and she goes, well, I'm probably the queen of the one dates. In other words, she goes on one date and never goes on a second date with anybody. And I'm thinking to myself, if you have 100 dates that you go on and you never get asked out on a second date, maybe on one time, maybe the guy was a jerk, maybe 2 times, maybe the guy was a jerk. If you've gone on 100 first dates and never get asked out on a second date, there's one consistent thing in those 100 dates. Maybe look inward. You might be part of the problem. So if you're a buyer out there and
what date are you on now?
3,417, and everybody are jerks.
That makes sense.
But if you are a buyer and you always have a problem with every single seller that you deal with, it might not be the seller. So unban if you want, but keep them on a short leash, because there was actions that they took to get banned in the first place. Hopefully that helps you some. Do hit the like button. Do comment down below if you've had people that you've unbanned, how things worked out for you. And we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.